So today is 1st of February and we will be doing the newspaper analysis, in which we will primarily be covering the Hindu newspaper, Indian Express and the Times of India. Now, also, I just wanted to announce that tomorrow we'll be doing the weekly GK, the Hafta series, in which all the one-liners for the last 1 week, we'll be covering that. And today is also the budget day. The budget has been presented, and we would also cover a little snapshot on the budget tomorrow. Aditya sir is going to take a special session on the budget, the union budget, and I would take up the one-liners for last week. So do follow that session. On the Thursday, we'll be taking up the monthly GK, Ananya ma'am and I, and we would be covering at least 30-35 important topics for the month of January, right? It's very important for you to keep making notes of the Hafta, CP Hafta series that we do, and also, the monthly GK that we are doing, all right? And if you are doing this particular session, the Roznama every day, it will definitely help you add a lot of value and foundation to your GK. So just giving you a little idea of what I found important in today's newspaper. One is the discussion has been going on for the last 1 week, and I see articles on it almost every day, which is the EU FTA, EU and India FTA free trade agreement. Okay, so this is the 9th free trade agreement that India has done, and it is known as the mother of all the agreements till now. And so I think it's quite significant. And we also had the president of the European Council and the head of the European Commission, the president of the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, as the chief guest, of the Republic Day. So very important. I think we are going to discuss that. There's a very good article in the Hindu as well as the Indian Express on the EU FTA deal, which discusses that in detail. Okay, we'll just look at some of the key points. Second is, again, I mean, we have discussed this over this week, so I think you must just pick up one of the Roznamas. The last 3-4 days, Ananya and Vaklu sir have covered this, the UGC controversy, right? The 2026 amendment that they were getting to the 2012 Act, that created a lot of controversy, and finally the Supreme Court had to put a stay on it, right? Third one is, now we have 2 Ramsar sites. They were declared yesterday. We are going to discuss that. 2 Ramsar sites, one in UP and the second one in Gujarat. Okay, so we are going to discuss about Ramsar sites. In fact, tomorrow is a World Wetland Day, and on this day, the first convention, or Ramsar Convention, took place in 1971, 2nd of February, at a place called Ramsar, which is north of Iran. So this is one. The fourth one is the Australian Open, and this lady from Kazakhstan has won her 2nd Grand Slam now, the Australian Open, defeating Aryna Sabalenka, right? So we are going to also discuss about the Australian Open. Then 5th is the India, the foreign ministers of India and the Arab League meeting. So India and Arab League meeting. So what's important is just understanding about the Arab League. When was it founded, and where is the headquarters of it? How many countries are part of the Arab League right now? So this is one. Okay. Then 6th is the Trump's pick for the Fed chair. So Powell's term is going. Powell, who is the present chairman of the Federal Bank of USA, his term is going to expire in May, and Trump has had a lot of issues with him because Trump wants the interest rate to be slashed. So now they're looking at so there is a Trump nomination. So we're going to discuss about Welsh, who is the, the nomination from Trump's side. So primarily these 6 topics, and today is also the Coast Guard Day. So we are, in fact, the 50th Coast Guard Day. This is the 50th anniversary of the Coast Guard Day. Not very important, but since it is in news, so we are covering that as part of our analysis, right? So primarily these 7 topics. So we will just discuss in brief about it. The monthly GK is going to cover these topics in depth, but just give you a little snapshot of these 7 topics. Okay, the EU FTA thing, UGC we've already covered in detail. The Ramsar sites that have been added, so we can discuss a little bit about it. The Australian Open today, the finals, the men's finals is on. The women's finals was yesterday. The India Arab League, the foreign ministers meeting. In fact, the national security advisor was also there, Ajit Doval, and the Trump's pick, right? And we're looking at the Coast Guard Day. So these 7 topics we are going to look at. Okay. Now, yes. So this I missed. This is more of a one-liner news. Sunitra Pawar, the wife of late Ajit Pawar, she takes over as the first Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra. Now, what's important here is to know the first Chief Minister of any state in India was Sucheta Kriplani, right? Sucheta Kriplani, and she was the Chief Minister of UP from 1963 to 1967. Also, the first governor of independent India was Sarojini Naidu in the year 1947, and she was the governor of United Provinces, which after India became republic was called as Uttar Pradesh, right? And now the first Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra is Sunitra Pawar. Okay, so there's not much to get into it, but yes, you could just be asked what is the full form of NCP. So that's a Nationalist Congress Party. Okay, and this was founded by Sharad Pawar. So Sharad Pawar was earlier with the Indian National Congress, and then he separated and formed the Nationalist Nationalist Congress Party, not Communist, Nationalist Congress Party, NCP. Okay, so this is this earlier he was part of the Congress Party, and then he separated and formed the NCP. Okay, so just remember this word, this name, Sunitra Pawar. Okay, so he is the founder of the NCP, and that's Sharad Pawar. Okay, so that was news number 1, Sunitra Pawar. You know that Ajit Pawar, he died in a plane crash. Okay, now coming to October 2023, when Hamas intruded into Israel and killed many people who were partying and celebrating the Yom Kippur festival that goes on 7th of October 2023. And thereafter, Israel went back after them, and almost 72,000 Palestinians have been killed. A lot of initiatives have been made over the last 3 years, and the most decisive of the peace agreement that happened was in the month of October, right? And this meeting was at Sharm el-Sheikh. So this particular article, you also get to know that what was that historic meeting that took place, which was led by Trump, and this was it was called as Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Summit, right? So Sharm el-Sheikh is in the Sinai Peninsula region of Egypt, and after this was the UN resolution 2803, in which they agreed to this idea that, and that's a very important mention here, that a transitional administration, they supported the idea of transitional administration and authorized the setting up of the International Stabilization Force for ending the conflict that has killed almost 72,000 people. Okay. Now, India has been quite vocal about it, and we support the two-state solution of Israel and Palestine, and we are looking at a comprehensive, you know, peace treaty here. And if you look at it, Gaza is on the west side of Israel, and the West Bank is on the right side. So basically, that's been a peaceful region. Gaza is where the problem has been there, and we are talking about the redevelopment of this. So Indian, um, the foreign minister, right, S. Jaishankar, right, Prime Minister Modi has been there, and then Ajit Doval, right? So they have been part of this particular discussion. And Arab League के बारे में बस इतना याद रखना that this particular Arab League was formed in the year 1945. At present, there are 22 countries which are part of it, and the headquarters of this is in Egypt, right? The capital of Egypt, Cairo, is where the headquarters is, right? And in this, primarily, you have the countries from the north of Africa and the Middle East countries, right? There are 22 countries which are part of it. And if you see, there are a lot of internal issues in the Middle East as well as in a few countries and in the African countries, a few African countries. Like there is a conflict which is going on in Yemen, right? So you have the Houthis, who control the capital city of Sana'a in Yemen, and then you have the Saudi-backed forces which are operating from Aden, right? And so Houthis, Houthis have been quite a menace at the ships that are coming from the Mediterranean Sea through the Suez Canal, through the Red Sea. There is a strait called as the Bab-el-Mandab Strait, which is a choke point, and it enters into the Arabian Sea. The Houthi rebels basically attack the ships that are coming from that side, going that side and coming this side, right? And especially the ships that are coming from the Western countries which have been supporting Israel in the war. So basically, US or UK, so they've been firing at these ships. So Houthis, you should generally know about who these Houthis are. The founder of Houthi, this question is asked quite frequently, right? So his name is Hussein Houthi, right? Who was killed in the year 2003, and thereafter this group, became bigger and bigger. And as of now, they control the western part of Yemen. Okay. So Yemen, in fact, India, way back in 2015, also, did an evacuation, and that operation was called as Operation Rahat. So with Yemen, there's a mention of Yemen. That's the reason I'm mentioning this Operation Rahat. And this Operation Rahat was in the year 2015. So when the then President Saleh was assassinated, and thereafter the issues that happened between the Houthis and the Saudi-backed forces, so that's been on since then. Also, you see that there is a problem in Sudan, right? The de facto president of Sudan, right? His name is Lieutenant General Burhan. So he has he heads the government right now, and he is in conflict with the Rapid Support Group head called Dugalo. So even Yemen is in conflict, and countries have taken sides. And primarily the reason why Sudan is in news is because Sudan is got a lot of gold, and their countries backing RSF, their countries backing the present government, which is led by Burhan, right? So that's why these issues, countries have taken sides. For instance, Saudi Arabia is supporting the president, Burhan, and RSF being supported by UAE, and so on and so forth, right? So there's conflict going on in the Middle East. Similarly, you see Libya, after Gaddafi, their dictator who ruled for more than 30 years, was assassinated in 2011, post the Arab Springs. There has been conflict, and there was a peace treaty that was signed in 2020, and still there are a lot of crisis and fighting which is going on in Libya, right? So Libya, Lebanon, that's what is mentioned here. Libya, Lebanon, um, Gaza, all these issues are Yemen are the places where we are looking at India playing a major role in discussing with the Arab League how these issues can be tackled. So important for us from Clat perspective is Arab League, where when was it set up? 1945. How many countries are there? 22. Where is the headquarters of this? It's in Cairo, and yes, the foreign minister is S. Shankar. National security advisor is Ajit Doval, right? Uh, who was the founder of Houthi? Hussein al-Houthi, right? Who was assassinated in the year 2003. So that's Yemen. The capital of Yemen is Sana'a. Okay, and that's about it. Libya, Muhammad Gaddafi was assassinated. So you can learn a little bit about the Arab Springs, right? So which started from a very small country called Tunisia, and then it spread all over to North Africa and parts of the Middle East, right? Bahrain and even Syria, right? Syria also there is a conflict going on, right? Muhammad Bashar al-Assad had to finally run away from the country, and now Muhammad al-Junani is the leader of Syria. So all these are consequences to the Arab Spring, which started in 2011. So there's a very nice article to just know a little bit about, the conflicts that are happening in North Africa and Middle East. So India Arab foreign ministers meeting is a very good article. Okay. All right. So the next one now. Yes. So this player, Elena Rybakina, has won the Australian Open, a very important news. Okay, Elena Rybakina has won the Australian Open. So this is a very important news. In fact, last to last year, A-Lit paper had 6 questions on sports. So we can't miss on this. What is that we need to know here? That she defeated Ariana Sabalenka, who is the world #1 right now. And she defeated her in 3 sets. This particular lady, Elena Rybakina, is from Kazakhstan. And this is her second Grand Slam. Okay, this is a second Grand Slam. As you know, the Australian Open started in the year 1905. This is when the Australian Open started. It was the last of the Grand Slam that took place. The first one being the US Open in 1877, followed by the first being the Wimbledon in 1877, followed by the US Open in 1881, then the French Open in 1890, and finally the Australian Open 1905. So where it is played at the Rod Laver Arena, and Rod Laver Arena is in Melbourne. Melbourne is the capital of Victoria, which is one of the states in Australia, right? And also the person who has won so you just remember this name, Rybakina, and this is a second Grand Slam. She has won the Wimbledon, uh, and now she's won this particular. Uh, she's won the Australian Open. So this is a second Grand Slam now, and in fact, if you look at it, Ariana Sabalenka, she's had a great run at the Australian Open. The last 4 Grand Slams, the Australian Open, she has been a finalist, and she won in 2003, 2023 and 2024. She lost 2025 last year to Madison Keys, and this year Ariana Sabalenka has lost to this player from Kazakhstan. Okay, so remember this, and it is played on the hard court. It is played on the hard court. There are only 2 tournaments, 2 Grand Slams that are played on the hard court, and one of them is the Australian Open, the other one being the US Open. US Open is played at the Flushing Meadows, which is in New York. Okay, and the person who has won the maximum number of Australian Open is Novak Djokovic. Novak Djokovic. In fact, he's playing the finals today. and it's a very interesting match. Now it's gone to 4 sets. Let's see who wins. He's playing against Carlos Alcaraz from Spain, and he's aiming for his 20. Novak Djokovic has already won 24 Grand Slams. That's a record of sorts, and he's aiming for the 25th Grand Slam now. So, but we'll get the outcome of the match in the next 1 hour, hopefully. The second person, so he has won 10 Grand Slams, and amongst the women, it is Serena Williams. And I'm talking about the open era. The open era is basically in tennis means that an era when the professionals were also allowed to play, right? Earlier it was the amateur era. Then in the 60s, it converted to the open era when the professionals could also participate. So amongst the men, the maximum titles is with Novak Djokovic, and amongst the women, it is Serena Williams. If we generally take open era as well as the amateur era, then it will be Margaret Court, right? In fact, Margaret Court and Novak Djokovic have the maximum number of Grand Slams at 24. Okay, we'll discuss more about this tomorrow when we do the daily current analysis, because we'll also have the name of the men's winner, right? So that's from the Australian Open. The next important, so again, that's Rybakina and Elena Rybakina. Again, this is a match that's happening today. He's aiming for his 25th Grand Slam. Carlos Alcaraz has won all the Grand Slam. He's won Wimbledon. He has won the French Open. He has won the US Open, but he hasn't won the Australian Open. So let's see if he can, make this particular happen. Make this happen. Novak Djokovic has won the Wimbledon. He has won the French Open. He has won the Australian Open, and he has also won the US Open. And in fact, he has also won the Olympics, right? Last to last year, the Olympics in Paris, he won that. So for Novak Djokovic, it's been Olympic gold as well as the all the slams. But there is only one person in the history who has won all of them in one calendar year, and that is Steffi Graf. Okay, and that is known as a Golden Slam. If you win all the 4 Grand Slams plus the Olympics the same year, it is known as the Golden Slam. Okay, so that's Carlos Alcaraz. He's from Spain. Novak Djokovic is from Serbia, right? Yes. So again, India backs people of Palestine. Gaza peace plan. PM tells Arab leaders. Now the next one. Now we are coming to 2 more Ramsar sites that have been added. So basically, what is Ramsar? Ramsar means the wetlands. ठीक है? और ये wetlands क्या promote करते हैं? Biodiversity को promote करते हैं. ठीक है? यहाँ पे birds आती हैं और उनका भी अपने उनके there's life in the water, so it promotes biodiversity. ठीक है? Now there are basically 9 criteria, and if any of the criteria is fulfilled, it can become a Ramsar site. Now India now has got 98 Ramsar sites. So this keeps adding, every 1-2 months you will see 1 or more Ramsar site is being added, right? So it was 96, now it has become 98. The important thing to know is that 2nd of February 1971 is a World Wetland Day. So we're going to discuss about it tomorrow, right? We are going to discuss about it tomorrow. Now this article came in the Indian Express, right? And this particular place is called Ramsar, where the convention took place, and this is north of Iran. This is north of Iran. ठीक है, नॉर्थ ऑफ ईरान में यहाँ पे कैस्पियन सी है, यहीं पे रामसर करके जगह है. So it's a beach city. Now India joined this on the 1st of Feb 1982 when Indira Gandhi was the prime minister. ठीक है? Now इंडिया में ओवरऑल तो 98 साइट्स हैं, इसमें मैक्सिमम साइट्स इंडिया में जो है वो तमिलनाडु, and Tamil Nadu has got 20 sites in India. Now Uttar Pradesh has added 1 site. तो नाम से कंफ्यूज मत होना, पटना बर्ड सेंचुरी, it is in Eta. Eta is in Uttar Pradesh. So that has become the 11th site. So Uttar Pradesh has got 11 Ramsar sites. ठीक है, और जो दूसरा चारी धाम ऐड हुआ है, this is added in the Kutch region, which is in Gujarat. So they have added two Ramsar sites or the wetland sites to a Ramsar list. ठीक है, तो ऐसे एरियाज को हमें प्रोटेक्ट करना है, इनकी वेटलैंड को मेंटेन करना है ताकि यहाँ की बायोडाइवर्सिटी को हम मेंटेन कर सकें. ठीक है, और दोनों बर्ड्स के लिए पॉपुलर डेस्टिनेशंस, राइट. तो इसमें और ये भी याद रखना दैट इंडिया की जो पहली रामसर साइट थी वो 1981 में डिक्लेयर हो गई थी, और वो थी कालेदियो बर्ड सैंचुरी, which is also known as the Bharatpur bird sanctuary, and the second one was the Chilka Lake. Okay, now this was in 1981. तो इंडिया साइंड इन 1982, बट इंडिया में साइट जो थी वो 1981 में डिक्लेयर हो गई. वर्ल्ड की पहली जो रामसर साइट थी उसका नाम है कूबर्ग पेनिनसुला, which is in Australia. All right, that is the world's first Ramsar site, and that was in the year 1975. Okay, India की पहली Ramsar site was 1981. The other thing that you need to know here is that India's largest Ramsar site is the Sundarban, right? Is the Sundarban, which is in West Bengal, and India's smallest site is Renuka wetland, which is just 0.2 square kilometer. ठीक है, रेणुका wetland, and this is in Himachal Pradesh. This is in Himachal Pradesh. Okay. Also, you need to know that there is a Montreux record. Montreux record क्या है? Montreux एक जगह है स्विट्जरलैंड में. तो क्या हुआ? In 1990 they made the register कि जो लोकेशंस में मतलब जो रामसर साइट्स हैं जहां पे ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन के कारण these sites are getting disturbed, उनका नाम आप डाल दीजिए. तो यहाँ पे हमें मतलब it was kind of a watch list. तो इंडिया में पहली जो मॉन्ट्रिक्स रिकॉर्ड में नाम डाला उसका नाम था चिल्का लेक एंड कोलादियो बर्ड सैंचुरी, which is also known as Bharatpur bird sanctuary. This was added later because of good conservation practices at Chilka Lake. It was removed, and then Loktak Lake in 1993 was added. So as of now, in the Montreux record, we have two sites. One is the Bharatpur bird sanctuary, right, Koaladio, right, and the other one is the Loktak Lake. Loktak Lake is in Manipur. So just remember this bit. ठीक है, तो इसको और हम लोग डिटेल में डिस्कस करेंगे अपने मंथली जीके में, बट इतना देख लो कि अब रामसर के अब 98 साइट्स हो गए इंडिया में. So that's a very important thing. ठीक है, the country that has got maximum number of Ramsar sites is UK. UK में 176 sites हैं, and the second one is Mexico. Mexico has got 144 sites, right? And also India is number 3. India is at number 3. India में 98 sites अब हो गए. ठीक है, तो इतना भी याद रखिएगा. In fact, in the Asia Pacific region, India has got the maximum number of sites. Which country has got the largest? It is UK, followed by Mexico. Third is India. Asia Pacific में किसका सबसे ज्यादा किसका है? इंडिया का. ठीक है, तो ये important है. So the Patna Bird Sanctuary and Chari Dhand in Kutch district. Okay. In fact, if you look at this particular Patna Bird Sanctuary, it is the smallest bird sanctuary in India. Smallest bird sanctuary, just 1 square kilometer. But is it the smallest Ramsar site in India? No, it isn't. The smallest Ramsar site in India is the Renuka wetland. Okay, so this is important. Then, like I told you, तो इंडिया में हम लोग का होता है रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया. ठीक है, तो रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया करता क्या है इंडिया में? I'm talking about the central bank that you have in the country. The central bank in the country, it controls the money supply. So by controlling the money supply, you basically, maintain the inflation in the economy. So India में जो target rate है वो 4% का है, plus or minus 2, which is a buffer percentage. ठीक है, तो उसी तरह यूएस का फेडरल बैंक है, यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है फेड शेयर. तो वहां का जो रिजर्व बैंक है उसको हम कहते हैं फेड बैंक. राइट। अच्छा, इंटरेस्ट रेट, अब यहाँ पे जो टॉपिक लिखा हुआ है वो है विल ट्रम्प्स फेड शेयर्स पिक स्लैश इंटरेस्ट रेट। तो यहाँ पे सबसे पहले कहानी क्या है, वो ट्रम्प ने नॉमिनेट किसको किया है, केविन वॉर्श को। ठीक है, केविन वॉर्श को उसने नॉमिनेट किया है। ये किसको रिप्लेस करेंगे अगर ये जीतते हैं, तो ये रिप्लेस करेंगे पॉवल को। ट्रम्प का पॉवल के साथ पंगा चल रहा है, ही इज ऑल्सो मेड सम फर्जी एलिगेशंस अगेंस्ट हिम, बट पॉवल का टर्म तभी भी मई में एंड कर रहा है, और वॉश को एक्सपेक्ट किया जा रहा है कि ही इज गोइंग टू बी रिप्लेसिंग है, करेक्ट। और ट्रम्प का बंदा है तो इंटरेस्ट रेट कम होगा। और मुद्दा ये है कि अगर इंटरेस्ट रेट कम होगा तो क्या क्या उसे क्या फर्क पड़ता है। तो जैसे मैंने कहा कि रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ कोई भी कंट्री का है, उसके दो पर्पसेस होते हैं। एक तो फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व्स, राइट, का मॉनिटरिंग करना, so that you have enough to pay for your imports etc. तो एक तो फॉरेन एक्सचेंज को वो देखता है, और दूसरा मनी सप्लाई को देखता है। ठीक है, अच्छा, मनी सप्लाई को देखता है, इसका मतलब क्या है, अगर लोगों के पास ज्यादा पैसा आएगा दे विल स्टार्ट स्पेंडिंग। ठीक है, और अगर यही पैसा कुछ इन्वेस्टमेंट एक्सपेंसेस में गए या कोई भी एक्सपेंसेस में गए, उससे इकोनॉमी को एक फिलिप मिलता है, एक पुश मिलता है। तो जब इंटरेस्ट रेट को स्लैश किया जाए, व्हाट इज इंटरेस्ट रेट, इंटरेस्ट रेट का मतलब, लेट्स से यू वांट टू बाय अ हाउस, और अभी जो हाउसिंग इंटरेस्ट रेट है लेट्स से 12%। ठीक है, और यही 12% से रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया सेज दैट द इंटरेस्ट रेट नाउ इज 2%। सो व्हाट विल हैपन, a lot of people will approach the bank and ask them for loan because the rate of interest is lesser, right? So therefore the EMI per month reduces drastically, right? तो इससे क्या होगा, they will get the money from the bank as loan and they will invest, and let's say housing है, तो housing क्या हो गया, infrastructure हो गया, और इसमें employment होगा, तो economy का जो employment होगा वो लोग खर्च करेंगे, तो consumer spending will increase। तो मुद्दा ये है कि जब इंटरेस्ट रेट कम होगा तो कंज्यूमर डिमांड विल स्टार्ट इंक्रीजिंग एंड द इकोनॉमी इज गोइंग टू गेट सम फिलिप। बट एक उसका डाउनसाइड भी है। व्हाट इज द डाउनसाइड हियर, द डाउनसाइड इज दिस दैट इफ यू प्रिंट अ लॉट ऑफ मनी, राइट, एक तो अब आसान है, आप सबको पैसा बांटते दीजिए, आप प्रिंट करिए और पैसा बांटते दीजिए। So if you just print and give money without really being an increase in supply, what will happen is that there is one good but lot of money to chase it। ठीक है, so let's say there are 10 houses to be purchased, right, that's the only supply that you have, and the government decides to print more money and gives money like this कि लो रखो पैसा, ठीक है, 0% इंटरेस्ट में रखो, सबने पैसे रख लिए, बट घर वही है, एक ही 10 ही घर है, सप्लाई का कांस्टेंट है। so what will happen, you will have more money chasing lesser goods and therefore the price rises। so the downside of having slashing the interest rate is that there could be an inflation in the economy, and high inflation is also not a good thing to happen। There is an economic term here called stagflation, which is that there is a rise in the price of goods without effectively the growth increasing, right? तो यहाँ पे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज हमें याद क्या करना है कि भाई यूएस के फेडरल बैंक को क्या कहते हैं, यूएस के सेंट्रल बैंक इज द फेड और द फेडरल बैंक। अभी वहां का कौन हेड है, पॉवेल इज अ हेड, उसका नॉमिनेशन क्या है, मार्श है, और वॉर्श है, वॉर्श इज एक्सपेक्टेड टू टेक ओवर फ्रॉम मे। और दूसरी बात हमें ये याद करनी है कि इंटरेस्ट रेट स्लैश करने से क्या फायदा होता है, मनी सप्लाई इंक्रीज करती है, मनी सप्लाई इंक्रीज करने से एग्रीगेट डिमांड इंक्रीज कर सकता है, इकोनॉमी ग्रो कर सकती है। डाउनसाइड क्या है, इन्फ्लेशन हो सकता है। ओके, a target inflation is always good for the economy, but going beyond that might not be a great thing to happen। okay, so that's what this particular report is all about। ठीक है, तो ये मैंने सोचा इसको हम लोग कवर कर लेते हैं। ठीक है, तो इंटरेस्ट रेट के पार्ट को इसमें मेंशन किया। ठीक है, चलो नेक्स्ट हम लोग आते हैं एडिटोरियल एनालिसिस में। देखो एक आर्टिकल आज के हिंदू पेपर में आया है। अम, देखो डेटा इज नॉट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, ये तो एक आरसी बन गया, बट व्हेन वी रीड दिस फ्रॉम करंट अफेयर्स पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, वी जस्ट हैव टू पिक a few pointers from the article that we are doing from current affairs perspective. तो जैसे यहाँ पे कुछ कुछ वर्ड्स हैं, सबसे पहले तो देखो कि इस वर्ड्स के फुल फॉर्म क्या है। इसरो, इंडियन स्पेस रिसर्च ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, इसका हेड कौन है? इसका हेड है वी नारायण, राइट? एंड वी नारायण इज द चेयरमैन ऑफ इसरो, ही इज आल्सो सेक्रेटरी डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ स्पेस। ठीक है, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ स्पेस डायरेक्टली कम्स अंडर द प्राइम मिनिस्टर। तो ये हो गया इसरो। इसरो फॉर्म कब हुआ था? 15th of August 1969। दिस इज द डे इसरो वाज फॉर्म, राइट? और इसरो के पहले चेयरमैन का नाम क्या था? इसरो के पहले चेयरमैन का नाम आप कमेंट बॉक्स में लिखिए अगर आपको पता है। ठीक है, और इसकी प्रीसीडिंग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो था वो इनकोस्पार था। इनकोस्पार, इन इंडियन नेशनल कमिटी फॉर स्पेस रिसर्च। ठीक है, स्पेस रिसर्च, इनकोस्पार, इंडियन नेशनल कमिटी फॉर स्पेस रिसर्च, जो कि बनी थी 1962, राइट? ठीक है, तो विक्रम साराभाई वाज द फर्स्ट चेयरमैन ऑफ इसरो, राइट? और इनकोस्पार को भी वही हेड कर रहे थे, बट देन इट यूज्ड टू कम अंडर द डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एटॉमिक एनर्जी व्हिच वाज लेड बाय होमी जहांगीर भाभा। तो 1969 में it was still under the Department of Atomic Energy, and after a lot of effort by Vikram Sarabhai, in 2 years' time, this became under Department of Space. A new department was created called the Department of Space under the Prime Minister. ठीक है, तो ये हो गई इसरो की कहानी। ठीक है, वी नारायण को किसने रिप्लेस किया? वी नारायण ने किसको रिप्लेस किया था? एस सोमनाथ। और पहले चेयरमैन का नाम क्या था? पहले चेयरमैन का नाम था विक्रम साराभाई। ठीक है, तो अगर तुम देखो इसरो का जो स्पेस रिसर्च सेंटर है तिरुवनंतपुरम में, राइट, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द विक्रम साराभाई स्पेस रिसर्च सेंटर। और जो सेकेंड हमारे इसरो के चेयरमैन बने वो बने सतीश धवन। तो इसरो का जो लॉन्चिंग सेंटर है वो है श्री हरिकोटा में। ठीक है, लॉन्चिंग सेंटर जो है वो सतीश धवन स्पेस लॉन्च सेंटर इन श्री हरिकोटा विच इज ऑफ द कोस्ट ऑफ आंध्र प्रदेश। ठीक है, सो दैट्स एज फार एज इसरो इज कंसर्न। ठीक है, अच्छा अभी देखो, अभी इसरो न्यूज में इसलिए भी था बिकॉज PSLV C-62 का लॉन्च हुआ था विच वॉज अ फेलियर। ठीक है, इसमें बहुत सारे फॉरेन सैटेलाइट्स भी थे, बट दैट that particular mission was a failure. So this was the latest launch by ISRO, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, PSLV C-62. ठीक है, ये क्या किसके बारे में बात कर रहा है? ये बात यही कर रहा है कि भाई हम लोग अभी एज ऑफ नाउ, मैं तुम्हें एक, I'm not doing it from an RC perspective, but I'm just giving you a little idea what this article is talking about and what is that we need to draw from this article in terms of current affairs, purely current affairs. That India as of now is 2% of the global space market. ठीक है, so when we say 2% of the global space market, we are doing something like 8 point something billion dollars, 8 billion. तो ग्लोबल स्पेस मार्केट तो मान के चलो कुछ 400 बिलियन का ग्लोबल स्पेस मार्केट है और इंडिया इज अबाउट 8 बिलियन। इंडिया ये चाहता है कि 2030 से 32 के बीच में हम लोग 8 to 10% ऑफ ग्लोबल स्पेस मार्केट बने। अभी हम 8 बिलियन में, अगले 5 से 6 साल में ये जो ग्लोबल मार्केट 400 बिलियन का है वो 1000 बिलियन का हो जाएगा। ठीक है, और ये 1000 बिलियन के मार्केट में इंडिया wants to do 80 बिलियन, 8 से 10%। When India wants to do 80 billion, it means इंडिया का जो स्पेस का जो टर्नओवर है जो अभी कर रहा है, ठीक है। अच्छा, यहाँ पे जो मैं टर्नओवर बात कर रहा हूँ 8 बिलियन ऑफ ग्लोबल स्पेस, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द स्पेस एज एन इंडस्ट्री। ओके, तो इंडिया अगर इतना टर्नओवर करना चाहता है तो उसको 10 गुना ग्रो करना पड़ेगा। ये आर्टिकल यही बताना चाहता है कि हम लोग के जो ऑपरेशनल एक्सपेंसेस ज्यादा बढ़ रहे हैं, बट हम लोग के जो की कैपिटल इन्वेस्टमेंट है स्पेस में वो कम हो गया। यहाँ पे 2022 में फाइनेंशियल ईयर, व्हेन वी से फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2022, तो हम लोग अप्रैल से लेकर के 22 तक का लेते, मार्च तक का लेते। तो 2022 के अगर हम फाइनेंशियल ईयर देखें एंड कंपेयर करें 2026 के फाइनेंशियल ईयर से, तो हमने ये देखा कि जो कैपिटल एक्सपेंस है वो तकरीबन 8,000 करोड़ था, राइट, 2022 में वो कम हो गया 6,000 करोड़ बन गया मोटा मोटी। तो यानी 2/8, 25% रिडक्शन कैपिटल इन्वेस्टमेंट में वो। तो अगर हमें अपने स्पेस इंडस्ट्री को 10 गुना बनाना है, बिकॉज वी एनविजन टू बी 10% ऑफ द ग्लोबल स्पेस मार्केट, और कैपिटल इन्वेस्टमेंट which is basically space research, launching centers, all that has to improve. That, will take a side step. But हमारे खर्चे कहाँ हुए हैं? More of operational expenses. And operational expenses कहाँ होगा? Wages, salaries, and other operational expenses. और ये बढ़ गया है 5720 से 7311 करोड़. So this is what this article is saying, कि अगर हमें एक global hub बनना है, then we need to invest more into space research, right? That's when we can become a global hub. That's what this particular article is talking about. अच्छा, इंडिया का ये जो NSIL है, ये क्या है? ये 2019 में लॉन्च हुआ है NSIL, न्यू स्पेस इंडिया लिमिटेड, ठीक है। और इसको राधाकृष्णन दुरईराज जो है हेड करना। तो ये तुम याद कर लो, हु हेड्स NSIL? राधाकृष्णन दुरईराज। तो ये इसरो का एक कमर्शियल आर्म है। तो मुझे यूएसए के साथ कुछ डील करना है, मुझे यूरोपियन स्पेस एजेंसी के साथ कुछ डील करना है, मुझको ब्राजील के साथ कुछ डील करना है, मुझे कैनेडियन स्पेस एजेंसी के साथ कुछ डील करना है, मुझे जापानीज स्पेस एजेंसी के साथ कुछ डील करना है, मुझे यूएई की स्पेस एजेंसी के साथ डील करना है, या मुझे रॉसकॉस्मोस विच इज अ रशियन स्पेस एजेंसी के साथ डील करना है, तो मुझे NISL इज गोइंग टू डील विद देम, राइट। तो अभी तुम देखो PSLV C62 को लॉन्च था, इसमें बहुत सारे फॉरेन सैटेलाइट्स थे, राइट। देयर वर मेनी फॉरेन सैटेलाइट्स इन दिस, एंड who does this, who takes up this responsibility? The commercial arm of ISRO, which is NSIL. When was it formed? 2019. Who heads it? दुरईराज, राधाकृष्ण, ठीक है। तो ये याद रखना। दूसरा, अगर एक फॉरेन 2023 में दे ओपन द स्पेस इंडस्ट्री, तो सैटेलाइट्स मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के लिए अब फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट 100% तक हो सकता है, ठीक है। बट जो ठप्पा लगाती है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, उसका नाम है इन स्पेस, दैट इज ऑथराइजेशन सेंटर। व्हाट इज द फुल फॉर्म? इंडियन नेशनल स्पेस प्रमोशन एंड ऑथराइजेशन सेंटर। ये कहाँ पे है? दिस इज बेस्ड इन अहमदाबाद। इन स्पेस नाम है इसका, ठीक है। इन स्पेस याद रखना, इन स्पेस, दिस इज कॉल्ड इन स्पेस, इंडियन नेशनल स्पेस प्रमोशन एंड ऑथराइजेशन सेंटर। कहाँ पे है? अहमदाबाद में, अहमदाबाद, अहमदाबाद, ठीक है। और इसको हेड कौन करता है? इसको हेड करता है पवन गोयनका। इसको हेड करते हैं पवन गोयनका। कोई क्वेश्चन? इसको हेड करते हैं पवन गोयनका, ठीक है। तो ये याद रखिएगा, ये इन स्पेस है, ठीक है। तो की चीज हमें इस आर्टिकल से यही पकड़ना है, इसरो के बारे में पढ़ना है। इसरो तो हम लोग डिटेल में डिस्कस करेंगे, बट आपको मैंने बेसिक चीज बता दिया कि 15 अगस्त 1969 में इसरो बना। विक्रम साराभाई इसके पहले चेयरमैन थे, एंड विक्रम साराभाई का ही स्पेस रिसर्च सेंटर है, कहाँ पे है? तिरुवनंतपुरम। दूसरा जो हमारे इसरो के चेयरमैन बने, सतीश धवन, उनके नाम पे है हमारा स्पेस लॉन्चिंग सेंटर, ठीक है। इंडिया वो कहाँ पे है? श्रीहरिकोटा, विच इज ऑफ द कोस्ट ऑफ आंध्र। इसरो का जो कमर्शियल आर्म का डिवीजन है जो 2019 में बना था, उसका नाम क्या है? उसका नाम है NSIL। ये NSIL कहाँ पे बेस्ड है? बैंगलोर में। इसको कौन हेड करता है? इसको हेड करते हैं दुरईराज राधाकृष्णन, ठीक है। और ये जितने भी फॉरेन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से उनके साथ ये डील करता है, ठीक है। अच्छा, इंडिया ने अब तुम देखो बहुत सारे प्राइवेट स्पेस एजेंसीज भी आ गए हैं, जैसे अग्निकूल कॉस्मस, स्काई रूट टेक्नोलॉजीज, ये सब अब इंडिया में आ चुके हैं, ठीक है। तो इंडिया इज ऑल्सो प्रमोटिंग इन हाउस प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स लाइक स्काई रूट एंड अग्निकूल कॉस्मोस, ठीक है। तो ये आप ध्यान में रखिएगा। एक और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, यहाँ पे इसका मेंशन है नहीं, बट याद रखना, उसका नाम है एंट्रिक्स। ठीक है, एंट्रिक्स क्या है? एंट्रिक्स जो है वो मार्केटिंग नाम है इसरो का। तो ये ब्रांडिंग करेगा, यूएसए में जाके ब्रांडिंग करेगा, ताकि लोग आकर के इसरो को काम दे कि भैया चलिए अपने पीएसएलवी से या जीएसएलवी से, जिसका नाम अब एलवीएम है, आप हमारे सैटेलाइट्स को भेजिए ऊपर। ठीक है, तो इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का, इस मार्केटिंग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का नाम है एंट्रिक्स। ठीक है, इसका नाम है एंट्रिक्स, जो कि 1990 में सेटअप हुआ है, 1991 में शायद। और एंट्रिक्स के जो हेड है उनका नाम है संजय अग्रवाल। संजय कुमार अग्रवाल इज अ पर्सन हु हेड्स एंट्रिक्स। तो चार नाम को याद रखना एज फार एज इसरो इज कंसर्न। नंबर वन, द प्रेजेंट चेयरमैन ऑफ इसरो इज वी नारायण। Second, the head of NSIL is Radhakrishnan Durairaj. Third, which was set up in 2019, it is a commercial arm of ISRO. Then the marketing arm of ISRO is called Antrix, set up in 1991, 92, check कर लेना तुम। और ये संजय कुमार अग्रवाल है। ठीक है, ये प्रमोशन मार्केटिंग करता है। इसका भी हेडक्वार्टर्स, दोनों का, NSIL का, इसरो का और एंट्रिक्स का हेडक्वार्टर्स बैंगलोर। फिर एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जिसका नाम है इन स्पेस, विच इज अ स्पेस ऑथराइजेशन सेंटर। ये 2020 में बना है। ये कहाँ पे बेस्ड है? ये अहमदाबाद में बेस्ड है। तो इंडियन नेशनल स्पेस प्रमोशन एंड ऑथराइजेशन सेंटर इन 2020, इसको जो हेड करते हैं उनका नाम है पवन गोयनका। इतना आप याद रखिएगा। इंडिया एट प्रेजेंट कितना परसेंटेज करता है ग्लोबल स्पेस इंडस्ट्री का? केवल 2%, विच कम्स टू अबाउट $8 बिलियन। और इंडिया का एम क्या है 2030-32 तक? इंडिया वांट्स टू बी बिटवीन 8 to 10% ऑफ द ओवरऑल स्पेस इंडस्ट्री। ठीक है, दैट्स अबाउट इट। बाकी इसरो इन डिटेल वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस इट, तो ये आप याद रखिएगा। इसलिए यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है फ्लैट स्पेस बजट। तो बजट आज हो गया है जो, तो विल इसरोज आर्म एनएसआईएल पिक अप द स्लैक ऑफ फ्लैट स्पेस बजट। मतलब हमें स्पेस बजट को देखना है कितना बढ़ाया गया है। तो अभी तक न्यूज जो आई है, डिफेंस बजट बहुत बढ़ाया गया है, स्पेस में ज्यादा कुछ हुआ नहीं है। ठीक है, चलो नेक्स्ट। यस, आई थिंक this is where we are going to end today's article, is the EU this is a very important, तो मैं एक न्यूज छोटा सा ले लेता हूँ। is this today is 1st of February, is this is a छोटा सा न्यूज, is also the 50th anniversary of 50 years of the Indian Coast Guard, the Indian Coast Guard। ठीक है, तो 1977 में दिस पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वाज सेट अप। तो कोस्ट गार्ड क्या करता है? मैरीटाइम सिक्योरिटी को देखता है ये लोग। ठीक है, नेक्स्ट that you have to look at, we have already covered this actually, is today is the finals of the Australian Open, so we should know anytime who the winner is। कोस्ट गार्ड का हमने ऑलरेडी कर लिया है, एंड I don't think the first one is important। Adampur Airport, which is now has been named as Shri Guru Ravidas Airport। ठीक है, and this is Adampur Airport is in Ludhiana। ठीक है, उसका नाम कर दिया है Guru Ravidas Airport। So this was the news. The one UGC ma'am has already explained, so just pick up yesterday's or day before yesterday's daily news analysis। We have done this in detail। Supreme Court has put a stay order caste discrimination के basis में 2012 को वो amend करना चाह रहे थे, but उस पर अब stay order लग गया है, and they wanted to legalize this, but Supreme Court has said a no, because उन्होंने यही कहा कि upper caste is not covered in this, so that's the reason। So this is a very nice article which has come, so I would like you to please have a look at it, otherwise it's going to get repetitive। But yes, this is one article which I want to take up with you, is the India EU trade agreement, and just pointers from a CLAT perspective। I do not want to do it from a civil services perspective, we just need to know the key pointers। Number one, EU was set up in the year 1993। ठीक है, EU was set up in the year 1993, and this was a Maastricht Treaty। Maastricht is a place in Netherlands। Euro digital currency was introduced in the year 1999, right? Euro currency was introduced in the year 2001। EU का हेड ऑफिस कहाँ पे है? EU का हेड ऑफिस है बेल्जियम में, और बेल्जियम का कैपिटल है ब्राजिल्स, वहां पे इसका हेडक्वार्टर्स। ये जो ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट है, ये नेगोशिएशन चल रहे हैं 19 years. There was a deadlock after 2013 after Crimea annexation by Russia. और ये पिकअप कब किया? बिकॉज ऑफ चेंजिंग जियोपॉलिटिक्स, स्पेशली आफ्टर द रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर, ट्रम्प टैरिफ्स एंड चाइना 1+ पॉलिसी के बाद ये पिकअप करा। और जो 16 समिट हुई थी इंडिया और ईयू की, तब जाके फाइनलाइज किया। डिस्कशन कब से चल रहा है? 2008 से डिस्कशन चल रहा है, 2008 से डिस्कशन चल रहा है। ठीक है, इसको कहते हैं मदर ऑफ ऑल डील्स कहा जा रहा है। क्यों? बिकॉज ये 25% ऑफ ग्लोबल ट्रेड है, ये 25% ऑफ ग्लोबल जीडीपी है, और 30% ऑफ ग्लोबल ट्रेड है। दैट्स, और ये 2 बिलियन पॉपुलेशन भी आप देखें, 2 बिलियन पीपल आर इन्वॉल्व इन दिस। और दोनों कंट्रीज को ले लो तो 25% ऑफ ग्लोबल जीडीपी और 30% ऑफ ग्लोबल ट्रेड इन्हीं दो कंट्रीज में अकाउंट कर रहा है। तो दैट्स व्हाई इट्स वेरी वेरी सिग्निफिकेंट। ठीक है, अब तुम देखो, अगर हम ओवरऑल इंडिया का ट्रेड देखें तो अभी तक इंडिया ने कुछ 8 फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट्स किए हैं। ठीक है, और इन 8 फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट का जो ओवरऑल कंट्रीब्यूशन है, ठीक है, अभी देखो जैसे यूएई की भी प्रेसिडेंट आए थे, MBZ, ठीक है, उनके साथ हमने 2022 में किया, अभी हमने ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ किया है कुछ साल पहले, अभी रिसेंटली हमने न्यूजीलैंड के साथ भी किया। तो इंडिया ने अराउंड 8 फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट्स किया। यूके के साथ हमने अपना फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट किया। इंडिया ने स्विट्जरलैंड, लिंचेस्टन, नॉर्वे और आइसलैंड के साथ भी किया फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट, राइट। ठीक है, तो 8 FTA इंडिया ने किए, और ये इसका जो अकाउंट है, ये 8 का खाली 16% ऑफ ओवरऑल इंडिया ट्रेड है 8 कंट्रीज के साथ। बट केवल ईयू के साथ इज ओनली इज जस्ट इज 12%। मतलब तुम देखो 8 कंट्रीज इज अकाउंटिंग फॉर 16% एंड केवल ईयू ओनली इज जस्ट contributing 12%. So look at the impact of EU. EU's got a significant share. Just with one European Union, which has 27 countries, it is contributing 12%. You've done 8 trade agreements with 8 different countries, and the amount of that is 16%. EU alone is contributing to 12% of the overall trade that India does. If you look in terms of the economy, EU as a group is the second biggest economy in the world after US. It's almost $30 trillion. India is the 4th biggest economy in the world, right? In terms of the global trade, and considering EU as one block, India is at $4.5 trillion, right? So, this trade deal is quite significant. And why is this happening is a very important question. Because stats अपनी जगह में, I've told you the impact. Population, 2 billion population. India has 1.44 billion people, 144 crore people, or 1.44 billion, and then EU has some about 55 crore people. So what's important here is not just these numbers. Why is this happening? Well, the geopolitics has completely changed, right? After Trump has taken over. And when Trump took over, he started the weaponization of trade. And when I say weaponization of trade, this was through tariffs. He started putting tariffs, right? So सबसे पहला उसने tariff introduce किया था 25% का, which was called as reciprocal tariff. तो फर्स्ट सबसे पहले उसने पुट किया रेसिप्रोकल टैरिफ 25%। उसके बाद ट्रंप ने पुट किया कि हमने रशिया से ऑयल लिया, तो उसमें अगेन उसने 25% टैरिफ डाल दिया। ठीक है, तो 50% हो गया। ऑन द अदर हैंड पाकिस्तान gets a favorable deal with USA, and Pakistan is just paying 17% while we are paying 50%. Okay, so look at the impact. So these deals that we are doing, when we are talking about free trade agreement, what does this mean? This means that there will be a reduction, massive reduction on the tariffs between the two groups or two countries, one country and one economic group. Now, European Union comprises of 27 countries. There were earlier 28 countries, but after Brexit, which happened on the 21st of January 2020, now there are 27 countries which are part of it, right? So how does India benefit from this? India benefits because uh, there are a lot of stuff that we import from European Union. So what are these stuffs? If you look at France, Spain, Italy, we import wine, spirit, beer from Belgium. So there's going to be a massive reduction in the tariffs. You don't have to remember the specifics of it कि कितना reduction हो रहा है. But yes, wine में maximum है, beer में थोड़ा कम है. तो एक चीज ये हो गया. गाड़ियों को देखो, गाड़ियों में मोस्टली जो आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द लग्जरी कार्स हियर, सो आई थिंक दे हैव गिवन अ क्राइटेरिया ऑफ 15,000 euros, राइट? दैट मोटा मोटी कम्स टू अराउंड 17 लाख के ऊपर की गाड़ियां, ये उसी के लिए अप्लाई करता है. तो अभी 110% टैक्सेस हैं ऑन गाड़ीज. 110% to 150% is the import duty. So let's say you buy a Mercedes or a BMW, that's the kind of duty that one is paying the end consumer. So let's say I want to buy this Gadi, then obviously the import price will be just about 28 lakhs for, let's say, a E-class, and on that you would start paying taxes, and then you would end up paying about 74-75 lakhs to buy, let's say, E-class car. So what is going to happen? So as of now, it's 1 CR, let's say 33 lakh rupees is the cost of getting it to India, and then the duty, and it ends up at 1 CR. So the duty makes it expensive for a consumer. तो जब ये फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट होगा, टैरिफ्स खत्म हो जाए. तो बेसिकली इंटेंट यही है कि 90% स्टफ में ऑलमोस्ट 99% एलिमिनेशन हो जाएगा टैरिफ्स. एंड दैट वुड मीन two things. One is that the goods can come, the luxury goods are going to become cheaper, like cars, even equipments, electronic goods that we import from these countries is going to get cheaper. Wine is going to get cheaper, beer is going to get cheaper, other things are going to get cheaper. Similarly, let's say India started the Make in India project on the 25th of September 2014. So what we are producing here, let's say textile, or let's say steel, right? All these things are going to get, cheaper, and when it gets cheaper, the demand is going to increase. Okay, but couple of points that I want to mention here is so again, when you're reading this article, the idea is that EU say abhi, as of now, we are doing a trade of almost 132 billion dollars, right? And we expect that this particular trade, when we are talking about trade, we're talking about export as well as import, and this is going to double in the next 5 to 6 years, right? This is what the expectation is, that we'll be sitting at some 270 billion dollars in the next 5 to 6 years because of the FTA with the European Union, right? Now just watch this. The EU will eliminate duties on 70.54% of tariff lines immediately. So immediate reduction hoga 70% stuff mein. And once the deal comes into effect, so deal comes into effect का मतलब हो गया कि दोनों के parliaments को ratify करना, so which is going to take almost a year. So mostly this is going to be applicable from next year in January, right? So the parliaments have to approve it or ratify it. ठीक है? And this will cover almost 90% of India's export. तो जो अभी हमारे 90% एक्सपोर्ट हो रहा है वो उसको कवर कर लेगा. ठीक है? So 70% of tariff lines, eliminating duties on about 70% tariff immediately once the deal comes to covering 90% of export value. So 70% tariff हमारा ऑलमोस्ट कम हो जाएगा. ठीक है? अच्छा, तुम इसमें एक चीज देखो, आई वाज जस्ट रीडिंग समवेयर दैट ओवरऑल जो इसका इंपैक्ट होने वाला है इस $4 बिलियन टैरिफ जो है वो एलिमिनेट हो जाए. इतना ज्यादा पैसा ओवर द नेक्स्ट 5 to 6 years विल बी एलिमिनेटेड. ठीक है, चलो नेक्स्ट. देखो, ऑल दिस इज वेरी स्पेसिफिक्स. हम लोग को कहाँ पे फायदा होगा? हम लोग को अपने जो लेबर इंटेंसिव प्रोडक्ट्स हैं उसमें हमें बहुत फायदा मिलने वाला है. तो इस आर्टिकल में यही सब बताया गया है कि कहाँ कौन कौन से एरियाज हैं वेयर वी विल गेट फायदा. अब देखो यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ सर्टेन मेरीन प्रोडक्ट्स, प्रोसेस्ड फूड्स, आर्म्स एंड एम्युनिशन, अदर्स. ये सब दिया हुआ है। फिर lot of European items are going to get cheaper like wine, automobiles and this and that. तो specifics यहाँ पे mention किया गया कि कौन कौन चीजों में फायदा है और कौन कौन से चीजों में इंडिया को फायदा होगा। टेक्सटाइल, एपरल, मरीन, लेदर, फुटवेयर, केमिकल्स, प्लास्टिक, स्पोर्ट्स गुड्स, टॉयज, तो ये स्पेसिफिक्स मेंशन किया हुआ है। तो मोटा मोटी तुम्हें बस पता होना चाहिए कि टैरिफ से हमें क्या फायदा मिलने वाला है, ठीक है। और यूरोप आज की डेट में एज अ ग्रुप अगर तुम देखो, इंडिया का सेकेंड लार्जेस्ट जो एक्सपोर्ट है वो यूरोपियन यूनियन को होता है आफ्टर यूएसए, ठीक है। तो इंडिया का सेकेंड लार्जेस्ट जो एक्सपोर्ट है वो यूरोपियन यूनियन को होता है। तो इसलिए यूरोपियन यूनियन हमारे लिए बहुत ही ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। अच्छा, बाय द वे मिस्टर गोयल हैं, ही इज अ कॉमर्स मिनिस्टर। और एक चीज देखो इस आर्टिकल में दिया हुआ है कि भाई बाकी सब तो बहुत बढ़िया है, बट कुछ कुछ चैलेंजेस हैं कि भाई 27 कंट्रीज हैं, 24 यूरोपियन लैंग्वेजेस हैं, तो लीगल वेटिंग ये सब में टाइम लगेगा। बस इतना ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, बट ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट क्या है, द कार्बन बॉर्डर एडजस्टमेंट मैकेनिज्म। अब देखो क्लाइमेट कंट्रोल, क्लाइमेट चेंज हो रहा है, तो यूरोपियन यूनियन ने ये फंडा डाला हुआ है, कार्बन कार्बन बॉर्डर एडजस्टमेंट मैकेनिज्म, जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं सीबैक। ओके, ये डाला हुआ है। तो भाई अगर आपके गुड्स में कार्बन के इम्प्रिंट्स हैं, जैसे हम स्टील बना रहे हैं, ठीक है, और स्टील में हम बनाने के लिए अगर हम लोग हमारे प्रोसेस ग्रीन नहीं है तो उसमें बहुत पोल्यूशन होगा और एटमॉस्फेयर खराब होगा। तो उसमें आपको कॉम्पनसेट करने के लिए आपको ज्यादा आपका जो जो कॉमोडिटी है इट विल बिकम मोर एक्सपेंसिव, ठीक है। तो दैट इज व्हाट इट इज कॉल्ड कार्बन border adjustment mechanism, a tariff structure the EU devised to address the carbon footprints of countries and companies. But यहीं अगर आप स्टील का प्रोडक्शन, ग्रीन स्टील कहते हैं इसको, अगर आप ग्रीन स्टील का प्रोडक्शन करें, जो आप फ्यूल यूज कर रहे हैं वो इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस के थ्रू अगर आप हाइड्रोजन को प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं और H2 को आप सेपरेट करते हैं और हाइड्रोजन से आप आप हाइड्रोजन प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं, आप हाइड्रोजन इज अ ग्रीन फ्यूल, और उससे आप अगर आप प्रोडक्शन कर रहे हैं तो आपके टैरिफ कम होंगे या नहीं होंगे, बिकॉज इट्स कंप्लीटली ग्रीन। सो दैट्स व्हाट इज अ ग्रीन स्टील। सो दैट इज व्हाई दे हैव इंट्रोड्यूस्ड द कांसेप्ट ऑफ कार्बन बॉर्डर एडजस्टमेंट मैकेनिज्म, व्हिच आई फील इज अ important thing to know from a CLAT perspective. You can be asked what is the full form of CBAM. So it is carbon border adjustment mechanism, and what is it? It is basically to put tariff in case there are more footprints, as far as there are more carbon footprints, right? So that's the important thing, and that's why this article is quite important. The important people that you need to know is, one is the president of the European Commission, Ursula de Leyen, and the second thing that you need to know is the president of the European Council, which is Antonio Costa, right? Antonio Costa's also mentioned in his piece that he has the overseas Indian card, but that doesn't make him the citizen. His father, at the age of 18, he left Goa, and they're settled in Portugal now. So, so these two things you need to know. They were the chief guests at our Republic Day. So very important deal. It's the biggest deal that India has done till date. Therefore, I think it's quite important. Okay. So this, I think you can just pick up yesterday's or day before yesterday's UGC thing. This has been put on stay by the Supreme Court, right? And that's about it. I think we have covered most of the news for today. The important ones, I would definitely say, just giving you a little summary of what we have done today. You should know the first woman chief minister, deputy chief minister of Maharashtra is Sunitra Pawar, right? And the second thing you need to know about the Arab League, right? When was it formed? 1945, and 22 countries are part of it, primarily Middle East and North Africa. Then Elena Rybakina has won the Australian Open by defeating world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka. This is a second Grand Slam. Then we will know the outcome of this match today. Then again, we have discussed about the Ramsar sites, the 2 more Ramsar sites that have been added, one in UP, making UP the course, UP was always a second. Now UP has got 11 sites, right? And the next one in Gujarat, which is called the Charidhan, right? So Patna Bird Sanctuary and Charidhan are the two Ramsar sites that have been added. Then we discuss about the Reserve Bank of India, I mean, again in USA, which is the Fed Bank, and we are looking at Wash being nominated by Trump, who would be replacing Powell in May, right? Then we discuss in detail about ISRO, about NSIL, and whether we have enough for putting in space research so that we can achieve our vision of being 8 to 10% of the global space industry, right? Then we also discuss in detail about the EU trade agreement. Why it's important is because 4 billion tariff is going to be removed. It affects 2 billion population if we include India and the European Union, which has 27 countries, and it's 25% of the global GDP if we consider these two countries, and moreover 30% of global trade. So it's very, very significant. We're looking at the tariffs being reduced to 90 for about 90 by about 99%, in the next 5 to 6 years. So very, very important article. This UGC one we have already covered in our daily analysis, but since it was there, I thought that I'll just mention it here. Then, yes, today is the 50th anniversary of the Indian Coast Guard. It was set up in the year 1977. And then, yeah, that's about it. All right, guys. So thank you very much. We will tune in again tomorrow. We'll be doing a weekly GK. And a lot of important things have happened the last 7-8 days. We had the Republic Day. We had the Padma Awards, right? We had the Golden Globe Awards. We had the Australian Open, right? So, we're going to discuss that tomorrow, and then tune in for the special edition of the Union Budget. We're going to explain to you the budget in detail, the static part of it, and and this year's budget. Thank you very much. Thanks. Oh.